Welcome into the Phillies Take London Party, a live Q&A and a live here in South Philadelphia. Ashlyn Sullivan, Ruben Amaro Jr., Ben Davis, and Ricky Bottalico here with you. This crowd is awesome here. Thank you all so much for coming, and we're so excited about the Phillies being in London for these awesome games coming up. Ruben, it's pretty cool that we have this many fans here in South Philly.
It's spectacular. I mean, obviously the Philly fan base is one of the best, if not the very best in the world. I know there's other people across the pond that might think differently about their football or soccer or whatever, but I will tell you that this fan base is the best I've ever been around, and it's so fun to be around it.
It really is, Ben, and you're excited for these upcoming games against the New York Mets, but it's hard not to be excited for this and think about what this is doing for baseball as a whole as well.
Well, it is. I mean, we call it our national pastime, but we're trying to expand that product to different parts of the country, different parts of the world, different countries, and I think this is a great way for that fan base over there just to see what Big League Baseball is all about, and what better team to have over there than the Phillies and the way they're playing right now. And no, I think it's great. But you saw the turnout they have in London. I mean, it's insane how much these fans travel, and it's just great to see.
It is, and we're going to get a sneak peek of that. We're going to check in with Taryn Hatcher, who's going to give us everything that's going on in London. But Ricky, I mean, Ben mentioned it. It is the perfect team right now to be doing something like this for the Phillies to have the record they have to go to London right now.
Yeah, the record they have, the stars, the superstars they have on their team. I mean, when you look at their lineup, I mean, you could count five stars, 3 superstars, some unbelievable pitchers. I mean, to mention everybody, I guess you can go through their whole team and say that this is a bunch of all-stars that are over there right now for the Phillies. And, I mean, I think the best part is they're going to kick the Mets' ass while they're there, too.
You love that, and we want to get you guys involved here at Xfinity Live and as well as watching this live stream. Thank you so much for watching. So drop your questions in the chat and use the hashtag Phillies Take London for a chance to win Phillies tickets and home run hats. 5 winners will be announced as soon as this show is over. And we talk about the fan experience here at Xfinity Live, of course in London, but really as a whole here in Philadelphia, the coolest thing to me is when you're walking the dog in the morning, the amount of Phillies hats you see, it seems like every week it's growing and growing the buzz around this team.
And that's you know, I've seen this happen from 2007 to 2012, and you literally walk around town. I live downtown now, and I see everybody with Phillies gear on. I mean, obviously there's Eagles fans and such, but it's all Phillies right now, all the time. You see the City Connect. You see all types of uniforms. They have so many different types of uniforms now that there's so many to enjoy. But it's a great time. It's a fun time, and the energy is super high.
It is, Ben. And when you think of this Phillies team right now, what's been the most impressive part, you think? There's so many to choose from, but are you surprised by anything successful so far this season?
It's a great question because this ball club has so many different ways they can beat you. And I'm going to say 2 things. One is the starting rotation, how good they've been this entire season. And 2, it's going to be Edmundo Sosa. How well, I mean, it's a bit of a surprise because he's never been an everyday guy. But when Trey Turner went down, you're thinking to yourself, okay, I hope he just catches the baseball. Make the routine play at shortstop and move on. But what he has done offensively, no one could have predicted this, and he's been just awesome. And I think enabling Trey Turner to have a little bit more time to heal up that hamstring before he comes back, because Edmundo's playing so well. But the starting rotation has been just dynamite, and it's not just one or two guys. It's all of them, and they're taking care of business.
Right, Ricky, that's kind of the funny part is at the beginning of the season, the starting rotation was the bit of the question mark, and there are no questions right now with that starting rotation.
Now, I guess, yeah, if you want to say some question marks with Aaron Nola, you know, his first start wasn't very pretty, and people around here love to get on Aaron Nola. It's just kind of has been the MO of Aaron Nola since he's gotten here. But, I mean, when you look at that starting rotation, I mean, my favorite to watch is Ranger Suarez. Guy just takes the ball, knows how to pitch, changes speeds with the best of them, and fields his position at the highest level. But it's not just that. I think you look at this Phillies team, and the one thing that we used to think all the time is the only way they win games is to hit the ball out of the ballpark. That's not even close. And the scary part is I think they are still that, and I think they will have that month where they do that. But they really haven't even gotten to that point yet, and they're 25 games over 500. It's ridiculous.
It is, and still a ton of baseball left to be played. And we mentioned how much we're loving the fan experience here at Xfinity Live and loving how many fans we're seeing in London to watch the Phillies play this weekend. And speaking of that, let's get to a fan question presented by Philly Sports Trips, and we'll check in with a fan from London, I believe.
Hi, I'm Chris from Wilmington. This question is for either Ricky or Ruben. How do you prepare to play on a field that essentially didn't exist 3 days ago?
You don't? I mean, I'll be honest. For me, it's 60 feet 6 inches away. For me, it's a dirt mound. You know it's going to be like that. You know the exact distance is going to be correct. I think it's just the sight lines that you have to get used to. I would go into certain ballparks and I would feel like some days I was throwing the ball 120 feet to home plate. Other days it looked like I was just touching the catcher's mitt. So I would definitely take my walk through to the mound and take a good look at what you're going to be seeing when you get out on the mound. But other than that, it's no different.
Yeah, it's a little different for the outfielders and the infielders. And Paco Figueroa is always on top of things, and he understands, you know, how important it is to, you know, take fly balls and ground balls and see how the ball reacts off the wall. What it does in the air, and so they'll probably take some balls live as well, especially in the outfield. And the infield, you just don't know what the dirt's going to do. So Bobby Dickerson, I'm sure, will have those guys out there to get a feel for how the bounces, how the ball rolls. The MLB does a phenomenal job, and I've been in a couple different situations where they play these exhibition games in Williamsport and some others. They put a major league field out there. They will not let these players play unless it's an absolutely state-of-the-art major league field. And so I don't think there's any concern about that, but they do have to get used to like the grass and the difference and how the ball moves on the grass and on the dirt.
Right, you got to think they're already getting used to that today when we saw them out there. We mentioned how great this crowd is here at Xfinity Live to cheer on the Phillies in London. So now let's check in with our very own Ashley Hall, who's standing by with a fan.
All right, guys, our first question comes from Bernie from Wynwood. What we got?
How's it going, guys? My question is, what were your thoughts about Angel Hernandez retiring, and have you had any experience having an argument with him?
Ricky.
Yeah, that's for
Ben.
That's the catcher.
Good riddance. See you later, Angel. I mean, this guy blew more calls throughout his career. It's been a long time coming, I think. And see you later. Have a good retirement.
Yeah, I had to work with him quite a lot, obviously being a catcher, and he just wasn't very consistent. And he tried. I think we all try at what we do, but he just had a few too many off days. Let's put it that way.
And he's the only guy that I've ever had an umpire call me out on a pitch that bounced before the catcher caught it. Called third strike.
Who's next?
The ball actually bounced.
Who's next?
I don't know about that.
I'm
staying away from
I have
those.
my thoughts about who's next.
I'm glad he's
Of course you do.
done. I think everybody's glad.
Yes, absolutely. All right, let's go back to Ashley. She has another fan question presented by Phillies Sports Trips.
All right, guys, we're moving and grooving. Lots of fan questions. The next one comes from Jan from Palmyra.
Hi. I just wanted to know, given all the injuries, although we're doing well, are we on track for getting to the playoffs? Or the postseason, I should say.
Go ahead, Grilled.
I think this is one of those teams that's actually really deep. I mean, Ben talked about Edmundo Sosa, the fact that he can step forward. We've had other guys step forward. I mean, you start thinking about Cody Clemens and what he did when he got an opportunity to play. I mean, comes in, it's a home run. I mean, it's amazing. David Dahl comes in and gets base hit, home run. I mean, I think the scouting department, the pro scouting department, has done a really good job of creating some depth. There's still some guys that I think that can help the team. Obviously, you don't want to have too many injuries because you can't have that much depth. But the key is to be sure that you're as healthy as possible as you get closer and closer to September and October. And I think that's one of the reasons why they're taking their time with Trey Turner. And I'm actually a little surprised that Ranger Suarez is pitching. I guess he's healed quickly, and that's not an issue because that could be a dangerous thing if he's not able to grip the ball properly, and it could affect some other things. But obviously he's doing fine. He's going to be pitching, so that's a good sign.
Yes, we're going to see him this weekend, and we're also going to see the Phillies in London. So let's now check in with Taryn Hatcher with London Calling, presented by your local Tri-State Toyota dealers.
Thanks, guys. We are back in London, day 2. We're at London Stadium. Phillies just had batting practice. The Mets have batting practice now. What can you do? But this place is insane. It's gorgeous. It's massive. And it's just cool. And I was told, by the way, because the stadium was specifically built for the London Olympics, there's absolutely no airflow that comes in or out. They didn't want to affect like the javelin throw, any of the track and field events. So it's a little weird. There's like, you're outside, but not really. It's gorgeous. It's loud. I'm excited to see what it's like tomorrow for the games.
Very cool. Awesome. Thank you so much, Taryn, for that sneak peek. And when you look at something like that, you got to think, I mean, you're seeing the NFL do it so much, but it seems like the MLB is just getting started with all of this expansion.
Yeah, I think it is really good for other countries and to watch this product that they're putting out there, because if you're looking at it, the Phillies have one of those ball clubs that if they're coming into town, you say, Dad, I want to go see Bryce Harper, or Mom, I want to go see Trey Turner, or let's go see Kyle Schwarber. They have so many of these guys on their ball club that to a man, it's must-see TV. And what's so great about this is there's a lot of good young talent throughout all of Major League Baseball, and I think they do a good job of promoting that throughout the different countries and really spreading the word and say, hey, this is a great product. I know soccer is the football, as they call it over there, #1 sport in the world. But this is a product, I think, that's taking the world by storm a little bit with how good these guys are, because it is, let's face it is the hardest thing to do in all sports is to play Major League Baseball and be successful at it to the level that these guys are being successful at it. And it's just a lot of fun to watch these guys.
There's a lot of teaching, that has to go on. That's why you see so many ex-Phillies over there. That's why you see all these ex-Mets over there. They're going to schools. We saw the package on the schools earlier today, and they're hitting balls out on the playground. That's where it starts. It starts on the playground. I don't know about you guys, but that's where I was playing sandlot baseball. That's where it started for me. Maybe it was more learning myself and whatnot, but these guys are having a lot of professionals that used to play over there trying to teach them how to play, and hopefully they can spread the word.
And actually, cricket is one of those really, really popular sports over there. It's similar, but obviously very, very different. But that's why what you say, Ricky, the teaching process of like learning, all the basics of what baseball is, I think it's a great thing. And I think it's something that some of the people in Europe can really gravitate to, because it's not that different from cricket, and that's a pretty popular sport over there as well.
Right. The more baseball fans, the better, especially in London. And I'm being told now that we have a very young fan here at Xfinity Live, and let's check in with them, presented by Phillies Sports Trips.
All right, gang. So Matt here doesn't like to play favorites, but he does have a favorite analyst. Who is it, Matt?
Ricky Bow.
Yeah!
Attaboy.
He's my favorite, too.
That's a good boy right there.
How much you pay him for that,
He
Rick?
also has a great question. Go ahead, Matt.
Checks in the mail.
All right. Based on the way Alec Bohm is playing right now, do you think he'll be mentioned in the MVP race?
It's a good question. It's going to be hard. When you have all these other players within your own lineup, somebody in this lineup is going to take off at some point during this season, and their numbers are going to go way up. I think Alex, he's been in a little bit of a slump right here lately, so I think he probably may have taken himself out of it in the last week or so, but it only takes one hot week to get right back into somebody's mouth. So I think Shohei Ohtani is going to show up all season long.
You got to think so. And speaking of that, the amount of all-stars possibly that the Philadelphia Phillies are going to have. Speaking of, we have these awesome all-star hats. Vote y'all stars. Don't you love that, Ruben?
Yes,
I tried
I
to
do
put it
love
on
it.
you, but it's going to mess up your hair.
That's okay.
Can't have that. How many
think it'll
all-stars are the Phillies going to have?
You have to, I mean,
On the spot.
I'd say from a pitching standpoint, you're going to have Wheeler, Suarez, Strom, and Hoffman from a pitching standpoint.
Crazy.
That I think should be locks. Those four I think should be locks. And it's not that easy to make it an all-star team as a reliever, unless you're just one of those lockdown closers. But Strom, these guys have been great. Position-wise, I think you're going to see Bohm, Harper,
JT.
and JT. Yeah,
That's insane.
that would be my 7.
I think there's going to be 4 starters. I think all 4, if they continue to pitch the way they are right now, how could you not? I mean, they're all in the top 6 in ERA right now this season. There's no way you could keep them out.
And that would be the first time since 1942 Reds with their 4 starters from one team in the All-Star game. Can you imagine that? Since 1940, 70-some years or whatever it is.
Baseball
That's crazy.
almanac, Ben, sitting right next to him.
Well, we just talked about it before.
An historian over there. So if you want all those Phillies to make the All-Star, you have to vote for them. So vote y'all like that hat says. And now let's check in with another fan here, I believe, at Xfinity Live.
Great, guys. We have Sam, and first he wants to show you his favorite player ever. So go ahead, Sam, sport it. Let's see it. Right here. My favorite player, too. I love
Big
it.
piece.
I love it.
The big piece.
All right, and now he would love to ask you guys a question. Go ahead, Sam.
What was your favorite Phillies moment in Phillies history?
You start. You're the GM.
Well, I mean, for me, obviously, the last pitch of 2008, that was probably my biggest moment. But I had some other ones.
How about your final home run?
The karaoke? No. I think one of the coolest moments, and we were all there for it, was when Harper hit the home run off of Suarez. We were jumping around like little children. And I was in particular. I could not believe, I actually should have believed, that he rose to that occasion in that situation because he's a red light player to the max. So he always sort of comes up in those big situations. But that was one of the most amazing moments as a fan and as an analyst that I've ever seen.
I'm going to say the 1996 All-Star Game with Ricky Bottalico.
Yes.
That's a good answer, Ben.
No, I would say Mike Schmidt's 500 home run in Pittsburgh. That call from Harry was unbelievable. The 3-0 pitch, and it was. I mean, that was something that was right in my wheelhouse. Growing up as a kid and watching that and hearing that call, and to this day, it gives me chill bumps.
I have 2. I think the Jimmy Rollins double against the Dodgers at Citizens Bank Park, scoring, I believe it was Chooch, right, with the winning run.
Oh, I remember well.
That was awesome. But the other one was Roy Halladay's no-hitter in the playoffs. And the reason why I say that, watching, because I was on for both of those games. The perfect game, he was great. There was no doubt about it. I thought he actually had better stuff in the playoff game against the Reds.
And what was cool about that, I think you're probably right, and what the cool thing about that was that it was the very first time, it's the reason why Roy Halladay wanted to come play in Philadelphia, because he had never played in the playoffs, and he knew he would with that club when we got him, and the fact that that was the very first time he's ever pitched in postseason.
That's
and he
unbelievable,
throws
isn't
a
it?
no-no. I mean, that's pretty extraordinary. Pretty
It is.
amazing.
So many great memories, especially here at Xfinity Live as the Phillies are getting ready to take on the Mets in London over the weekend. And now let's check back in with Ashley, who has another fan question.
Are so incredible, and we have another question from Zach.
Hi. How do you get Rojas and Pache to stop bunting?
I'm not taking that.
I didn't understand the question.
Who and who?
He wants to know how we can get Rojas and Pache to stop bunting.
Stop bunting? That's a first. Usually people want to see them bunt. They haven't bunted all that much, have they?
Well, a
missing
little
some?
bit. They've done.
I mean, they've tried.
They've tried at times, and Topper has asked them to do some sacrifice bunting. But I think that also has to be sort of part of their game because they're speed players.
they're not home run hitters, so to speak, and I think that should be part of their game. I understand there's a lot of people, a lot of analytics folks think that that's, just giving up outs. Well, in certain situations, I think it's also the right thing to do, and I think that's a skill set that they should be able to manage.
Right, and you got to think as well with Brandon Marsh's injury, the rotation we're seeing in the outfield right now. You're getting some players some key playing time right now. You never want to see someone get injured, but it speaks to the depth of the Phillies that they've been able to manage Trey Turner, Brandon Marsh, a couple of guys going down, Ben.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just 26 players throughout the course of the season that enable you to get to the playoffs. It really takes, maybe somewhere upwards, maybe of 40 players on a given team, depending on who gets hurt and who they need to call up. But it does speak volumes to Dave Dombrowski, who I think has just done an outstanding job of acquiring these players, as Ruben alluded to, with scouting, professional scouting, and say, you know what, this guy's going to be a fit for the Philadelphia Phillies, and he can fill this role, and he can do this, and he can do that. So I think you got to have a good bench if you want to make any.
Maybe prioritizing. Where now when you talk to fans, especially around Philadelphia, they mention an outfield bat at times, but it seems.
I think the depth is actually very good on this team. I mean, when you think about it, you take away a Trey Turner. He was the best player on the team at the time when he went down. That's fair to say. You do that to any other team in the league, they're not going to survive. The Phillies survived. Actually, they thrived. I look at this lineup. I would say extremely happy with the bullpen, extremely happy with the rotation, maybe a number 5 guy. I mean, but you don't even need it. They really don't need anything.
Yeah, one of the interesting things I thought was going to be a concern of ours was the bullpen. Who was going to step forward as that closer? And they had kind of a rough start in the first few games. But after that, since May 1st, it's been the best bullpen in the National League.
They don't care
They've
who
been
closes
just
out
lights
games.
out, and I think Topper deserves a lot of credit for the way he's handled them and given them the opportunities, and when he's put them in certain spots, he's been phenomenal about it.
Right, Ben, and you think about making some additions here before the deadline, but I hear a lot of people say, well, also don't mess with this team. Like, we know about the vibes and the brotherly love. The last thing you want to do now is subtract something and mess up what's going on here.
Yeah, I don't know if you're going to have to subtract anything, but I'll always welcome another bullpen arm. That's something that I'll always welcome. Depending on how that 5th spot in rotation goes throughout the rest of the year, maybe that's another cause for concern. Or someone like a Matt Stairs, big left-handed bat off the bench, I think could be a possible addition as well. But as Ricky alluded to, there's just not a whole lot of holes in the lineup or the rotation.
Yeah, and that's great news for the Phillies here. Now let's check back in with Ashley, who has another fan question here at Xfinity Live.
Yeah, guys, we made some new, very serious friends. Try to make it smile. It's not happening. But Clinton has a question looking towards the future with his awesome team. What do you got?
Hi, my question is, do you picture his team being really aggressive at the trade deadline, or you see him taking a, if it's not broke, don't fix it approach?
Wow. I just think unless there's a glaring need, unless there's an injury, I think it could be fairly quiet on that front. I mean, like Ben said, if you could get another arm, fine. But other than that, where are you going to put him, whoever it is?
Yeah, I think Dave Dombrowski and John Middleton obviously are hell-bent on winning, and they're going to do everything they possibly can. That said, I think they have to be careful about how any sort of acquisition will affect like the chemistry of this team, because it's so good. I don't think you can really mess with it all that much, but there's some people who are talking about needing a center fielder and
Mike Trout.
needing a right-handed bat or something like that. I just and that'd be okay, but I think if it's going to really affect the future, I don't know that. And again, this is a team that's poised to win a World Series and has the talent to do it. I do think, though, that Dave Dombrowski has a little bit of that old school feel that he feels like it's important for the clubhouse to add something at the trade deadline, because I think that sort of boosts everybody. They know that everybody's in on trying to everybody's in on this thing to get there. I always felt like that as a GM. Like, if we were about ready to be a playoff team, that you had to add something. I believed in adding something. I'm not sure what that something is, but I agree with
But do
Ben.
you add just to add? Like if the Braves added a couple guys, would you go, oh, maybe we should do something? Or
I wouldn't worry about the other teams. I would
Okay.
more worry about our club and how it would affect our club more than anything else, and what it can help us do.
Didn't you bring in Turk and Cook?
Yes, it wasn't very good.
Thank you very much for that.
Thank you for
The
the
other
reminder,
thing is,
Ricky.
the other thing is, Dave Dombrowski has, he's made a concerted effort to bring in character guys. I mean, this is a ball club to a man. They're all really good dudes, first and foremost, and they take their craft very seriously, and that's why they're so professional about it. But I mean, they're just really good guys who love playing the game of baseball. Oh, and by the way, they're really good at it.
Yeah, they really are. And don't forget here, keep adding your questions into the live stream. Keep asking questions here at Xfinity Live. Use the hashtag Phillies Take London for a chance to win Phillies tickets and home run hats. We're going to have 5 winners at the end of the show, so stick around. And Rube, let's get into some predictions here, Ruben, about this upcoming series. Who's going to be the star? Who's going to take over?
I can't put anything past Harper.
Yeah.
He steps up for the occasion almost all the time. And to me, Schwarber hasn't gone through the June yet, and I think at some point he's going to start hitting balls out of the off the planet. So I think one of those two guys are going to be the ones that kind of step forward.
All right, Ben. What do you
I'm
think?
looking for Bryson Stott. I think he's going to get back into the swing of things, no pun intended, but get back into being a little bit more of just a better hitter and doing Bryce Stott-like things. And he's just a guy that he's got no heartbeat either. And this is much like Ranger Suarez. He just goes out there and plays the game, believes in himself, and then takes what they'll give him.
Heck with those hitters. Ranger to get back on track. He's going to throw a gem out there. I think he's one of those guys that I really believe is like Bryce Harper. Like, the bigger the lights, the more he wants to show off. Well, it's a good time to show off. 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon here.
It is. Big predictions, and we'll see who shows up this weekend. And now let's go back to Ashley here at Xfinity Live.
All right, gang, I'm here with my new friend Kathleen, and she has a couple things to say to y'all, and they're very, very kind, actually. So I know, Ricky, you'll be surprised by that one. Here we go.
First, I want to say thank you so much on behalf of all of us for putting on such a great event for everybody who could not go to London. It's a really good event. Thank you.
You have to thank the girl that's standing next to you.
She's the one.
She is the one.
So my question is, what team or teams should the Phillies be most worried about this year?
I'll go with the Dodgers. I'll take the Dodgers. I mean, that lineup with Freeman, Betts, Ohtani, I mean, they could do damage at any time. I'll go with the Dodgers.
It's a good call. I mean, obviously the Braves in our own division, they're always going to be there in the hunt. But I would say the Dodgers also. And I think that they're going to get Kershaw back. They're going to get the other kid Miller back. And so their rotation is going to get a little bit better. I do have some concerns about the Dodgers because the back end of their lineup is not all that great, which is good for the Phillies. I think it's a little light and a little weak. And I think that I really honestly believe that the Phillies are a far better team and have way more depth kind of across the board. I think the Phillies are the most complete team. My biggest fear is injury. That's my biggest fear.
I'd say that the team that the Phillies have to worry about the most is the Phillies. They're just that good, and if they just worry about taking care of their own business, each guy, I know it's a team effort, but if each guy does their job the way they're capable of, I don't see anybody stopping them. I don't.
Yeah, that's what you hope. And now let's go back to London and check in with another fan over there in the UK, presented by Philly Sports Trips.
So I'm Sam, obviously from England, as a Phillies fan. The question I have to the experts over there is, normally Philadelphia, we start off really weak in the season, then get better. This year we started off good. Can we keep it going, or is it eventually going to plateau out?
He went on record.
Yes, he did. I got to believe that this team could keep it going. I don't know if the ERAs of the starting rotation are going to be, sub twos or in the low twos the whole season, but I think the offense is going to get going here at some point. And I think they're going to kick it in gear and really start scoring a lot of runs on top of it, which we haven't seen that for a long period of time. I think they keep this going. I said 100 wins at the beginning of the season, and I think I'm low.
I think there's room for improvement. I really do. I think offensively, you haven't seen Schwarber really go off. You haven't seen Harper really go off. We don't have Turner in the lineup. I mean, there's a whole slew of things. And I do believe that Stott and Bohm are going to continue to grow and get better. I think that the sky's the limit. I really do. I agree with Ben in that this is a team that, well, obviously, they have one goal in mind, but I think they also have not really played as well as they can on the offensive side of the game. And once that starts to kick in, when hitting season comes, and it's coming here pretty soon, it's going to get ugly for some other teams.
That's what you hope. Go ahead, Ben.
No, I agree with that. I think there's some offensive players that have yet to get it going, like really going. And I'm pleasantly surprised. It looks like Nick Castellanos is starting to break out of it a little bit. He's been a lot more consistent in recent weeks. So, the average still isn't where he needs it to be, but he is staying behind the ball and driving it a lot better. So that's a huge sign, a good sign for the Phils. And, hey, they need him to hit. They signed him to a $100 million deal here for 5 years. They need him to hit. They need to be a big cog in that machine in the middle of that lineup. So I think we've seen some promising at-bats by Nick. And, Alec Bohm, I always look for that guy. I love the guy. I just think he's a true, pure professional hitter. And Stoddard is going to get it going again. So, I think from an offensive standpoint, once they get going, it's going to be tough.
Right.
It's going to be tough for opposition.
Nick Castellanos coming off a great series. And now let's check back in with Ashley here at Xfinity Live.
All right, guys, so we obviously saw the fanfare for one of our favorites, Reese, this week. So many standing ovations. So we have a question about good old Reese.
Yes, hi. Do you think the Phillies regret not resigning Reese Hoskins? And do you think it will come back to haunt him later in the year?
The Phillies are 25 games over 500. I don't think they regret anything.
That's a fair point. I don't think so. I just think it's, Bryce Harper's played first base. He's playing a very good first base, and they're able to get Schwarber in that DH role, I think, which helps out the defense. Not that he was a terrible outfielder, but, there's some guys that, obviously are a little bit better than him in left field. So I think overall it was addition by subtraction.
I mean, great offensive player, heart and soul of the team in a lot of ways, but there's so many great leaders on this ball club that you sort of don't miss him that much, obviously, because they're playing so well, but I think also Ben makes a great point. I mean, it allows this team to just be more athletic and more defensive, and I think that was one of the issues with this club a couple of years back. They just didn't have the defensive ability to do what they needed to do, and we saw in that Milwaukee series how good the defense and pitching was, and how important that was for them to be able to to win that series and to blow them out. So I think they made the right decision. I know it was a tough decision. We had to do it with Pat Burrell at one point. We had to say goodbye to him, and we ended up getting Raul Ibanez, and I think that changed the mix a little bit, but it also did help our club.
It did, especially after a very successful weekend for the Phillies. And now let's check back in with Ashley.
All right, Kathleen has been here since 4:30. Shout out to Kathleen. She was here setting up with us, and now gets to ask her question.
Hi, guys. As we speak right now, the Dodgers are up in the Bronx playing the Yankees. All day, I've had to hear about the World Series preview. Do not count out the Fightins, number one. And number two, who's going to be harder for us to get by? Because we will be going by both of them.
I like that confidence.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I'm going to stick with the Dodgers. The Yankees, I don't know. When you look at the rotations in the bullpen, I think that Yankee bullpen has more of a possibility of a collapse pitching-wise than the Dodgers. The Dodgers have like 6 guys on the injured list still that are all going to be coming off at some point this year. So I think their bullpen's going to get stronger in that sense also. I don't know. I'm going to say the Dodgers.
I don't know. It's pretty tough getting past Soto and Judge. These two guys are on a different planet right now.
Be careful of the Soto thing. He got injured.
Did he?
If he's out, then it's a real concern for him. But I don't disagree with you. He's got an elbow issue, and they took him to have an MRI. If he's gone, then it's a totally different team.
Wow. When did this happen?
Just happened a couple of days ago, yesterday.
Yeah. Interesting.
With the breaking news.
I think that the Yankees are the best team other than the Phillies. And I think the Phillies are a better team, a more complete. And I think the fact that Garrett Cole's coming back, that's a huge factor. I think my concern is the Yankees at the end of the day. And I'd love to see that rematch of the 2009 World Series because I think the Phillies are going to beat them up.
That would be awesome. We got one more for Ashley here at Xfinity Live, presented by Phillies Sports Trips.
Oh boy, we are back. We were just doing some maneuvering down here, trying to have some fun with our ball girls and new friends. So our final fan question comes from Kevin, and we're sending it to the bullpen for this one.
Hi guys, I know you were talking about bullpen earlier. I was wondering if you guys had opinions about the bullpen recovery, which I think in any other year would be the story of the season. But since the starter ERAs are so low, I think now the bullpen ERA is like ranked 7th in Major League Baseball, all of Major League Baseball, when in the beginning of the year they were 30th.
Well,
so I was wondering if your thoughts on that. Is that knowing their roles? Is that managing? What do you think?
In all honesty, I think it was just 2 bad outings. One by Strom and one by Alvarado on the first weekend of the season. You put up 6, 7 earned runs on your bullpen, you're not going to lower that ERA for a little while. And once they got clicking, I think they've just kind of fallen in. They're not really in roles. They know about when they're going to come in the games. But I think they're all comfortable in their own skin now where they could possibly pitch in the games, and I think that's helped.
Yeah, I just think this is a bullpen that they flat out throw strikes. They're not afraid to pitch to contact. And if they need a strikeout, sometimes you come out of that bullpen, and you know, Ricky, you come out of that bullpen, you just have to throw strikes and you have to punch tickets and strike guys out. And this bullpen has the ability to do so. So that's a good thing. But they're also, hey, if they need a double play, they're not afraid to pitch to contact and get that contact. And but I just think these guys are just, they're not eating up a whole lot of innings because, as he said, the starters are going so deep. It's only going to help the bullpen later on in the season.
I think Rob Thompson's done a great job of creating a culture where they don't really care where they pitch, and they just pitch when it's time for them to take the baseball. When they're called upon, they take it and they pitch, and that's all they worry about. And it's really been a masterful job. When I try to evaluate managers, I think of 2 things. I think of how they manage the bullpen and what kind of relationship they have with their players. And I think Rob Thompson's he's acing it across the board right now.
He has done a tremendous job, that's for sure. And before we say goodbye here on this live Q&A and go hang out with these awesome fans here at Xfinity Live, we need a prediction for this weekend. Quickly, Ricky, what do you got? What do you think?
Phil's take them both.
All right, matter of fact.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Sweepage.
Sweep it. We love it. But before we go, we have some thank yous. Special thanks to our friends at Phillies Sports Trips for being here tonight. In honor of the Phillies going on a trip, they want to send you on one too. Enter now for a chance to win the ultimate trip to the Phillies-Orioles series on NBC10.com/contest. And thank you so much to Xfinity Live for having us. It was such an awesome venue, such a great event. And they are having a London Series watch party Sunday, starting at 9 a.m., bright and early. $5 mimosas and Bloody Marys.
Eggs and eggs.
That's what I'm talking about.
Ricky, you're so here on Sunday, right?
Go.
Yep.
Log her up.
Love it. And thank you all for joining us so much on this Phillies Take London Live Q&A. We thank you so much for watching. We thank you for being here at Xfinity Live. And let's go, Phils. We'll see you here soon. And now we're going to go to Ashley Hall, who I believe has some winners.
Won a pair of tickets to the Phillies. Congratulations. I will be reaching out to you via Facebook, so check your messages. All right, for the next one, we have a home run hat. Travis, if you will. This is high quality content right here, folks. You're only going to get it right here. Oh, I thought it was going to be hello, that one. All right, Juliana, you just won a home run hat. It looks like this. It's pretty awesome. So check your messages. I will be reaching out. We have another home run hat up for running here. Let's see here. McNugget would have been a really good one. McNugget, let's go. All right, McNugget, you just won the other home run hat. What'd you say? Okay, we just have one more, Travis. Don't get so excited. Travis wants to wrap this party up. All right, we have one more pair of tickets, and that is going to Brian Snell. Congrats, Brian. So I will be reaching out via Facebook. Please check your messages. Thank you all for coming out to the Phillies Take London Party. See you next time.